Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, you need no introduction, but bear with me if I just set the scene here. Just take a minute. My
Uh-huh.
name is Jeryl Moy with Splash Magazines Worldwide, and it is truly my privilege today to interview iconic singer and performer Freda Payne. She's going to grace the Bay Area stage in the Marin Center with her show, A Tribute to Alex Fitzgerald, on February 16th. And we
Right.
thought we would give our fans a chance to get to know her a little bit better as a person. So thank you so much for granting this interview.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my
And,
pleasure.
and I got to tell you, for all the many, many years you have entertained us, I grew up listening to your songs. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, thank Holland Dozier and Holland who produced those big hits.
And they were big hits. We had record hops and dance hops to those hits, so it was great.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, coming out of Motown, right? And then of course
Well,
they left Motown around the late 60s, 69, I believe, 68, 69. And then they formed their own record label, Invictus. And that was the label I was on. That's how they secured me. That's how they got a hold of me. So I said, well,
wow.
Frida's a Detroiter, and I was actually living in New York at the time. I had moved to New York when I was 18. So they reached out to me, and that's how it all happened.
Well, that wasn't one of my questions, but why did you originally move to New York?
To seek my fame and fortune.
It worked for somebody.
Yeah,
Wow.
right. I'm heading out, not west. I'm heading to New York. That's where I belong.
Well, it certainly worked for you. I have listened to many of the interviews that you've granted people, and every time I listen to it, I always think, I wonder if there's a question you wish you had been asked and would like to answer. Is there a question you can think of that hasn't been asked that you would like to tell people about?
Oh my God. Well, then that would get into intimate stuff, but I, I think every question has been asked of me where I had to really say, wait a minute, let me think about that before I answer it. It's
Well,
funny. I
you
mean, the
know,
typical ones are, how did you begin? When did you discover you could sing? That those are the typical ones, that everybody asks.
well, it's interesting because reality television is so big now with contests. But contests actually played a pretty big part in your career early on, didn't
Oh
they?
yeah. Oh yeah, they did. Oh, by the way, our interview has started.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
it's
great,
being
great, great.
recorded. Yes.
Okay. So anyway, say that again.
Well, we watch reality TV now, which did not exist so much when you
No,
were
no,
coming
no
up.
way.
But contests, you have said, played a
Yeah, the
large part in
contest,
your
yeah.
career. Can you expand on that?
Yes. I was 13. Well, I actually started entering talent contests locally in Detroit by the time I was 13. And then that same year, there was a weekly TV show that came on every Saturday afternoon, and it was called Ed McKenzie's Dance Hour. And it was just like Dick Clark's American Bandstand. Well, you had the teenagers, dancing, but these were like mostly all white teenagers. They weren't black, like Soul Train. That's why Soul Train became so huge, because it was basically mostly all black kids. That's what it was all about. And that's what made it Soul Train. But this was Ed McKenzie's Dance Hour, and he would feature whatever nightclub act or superstar that was appearing in the Detroit area at the time, like for instance the Four Freshmen, Della Reese, um, Sammy Davis Jr., people like that, Don Cherry, Andy Williams, who that kind of thing. And then we had clubs like the Rooster Tail, the Flame Show Bar, and then right across the river, it was Windsor, because Windsor was right across the river from Detroit. And there's a club there, a very nice high class supper club it was called the Elmwood Casino. But ironically, years later, I wound up working there myself. But anyway, back to my first real contest. I auditioned for it. And when I auditioned to be on the show, I danced. And isn't this ironically the same way Ella got started? I auditioned. My audition was dancing. When it, about the night before the show was supposed to happen, because they did it live, I told my mother, I said, feeling I should sing instead. I think I'd have a better chance singing. And she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." She called them up, and instead of them saying, "Oh, forget about it, we'll do it another time," they said, "Okay, okay." Because I guess maybe they had checked around a little bit and heard that I'd been singing locally and all that stuff. And so I was on the talent contest, and I won singing.
At 13.
I won singing, and guess who was the headliner, the star that day? Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh
We
my
took a picture together. We took a picture together. I was 13, and it's a black and white 8x10 that I have, and they've got the what's a WWXYZ. You can see that it's a TV station, and I was taller than him.
Everyone was taller than him.
And back then, I was 13. I wasn't even wearing heels. Probably something like maybe like this, a little bit. But I don't know. I forgot the name they call those little heels. But your first heel.
Yeah, the little chunk heels, yes.
Yeah. But anyway, that was it. 6 months later, they called me back to participate in yet another talent contest on the show. I came back and I won the second time. Okay.
Wow.
Then by the time I turned 16, there was a big talent show that emanated from New York City, and it was called Ted Mack's Amateur Hour.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, Ted Mack was the equivalent of Star Search or
Yes.
American Idol today. But these talent shows that we have today, I call them talent shows on steroids. Because it's gotten huge. I mean, it's gotten so big. I mean, people that come to audition, you have hundreds of people, and they're all standing in line, and it's sort of like this elimination process. It's what you got to go through. It's sort of like I said, a talent contest on steroids. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, and it's much harder too now. But anyway, they had a group of people coming in, holding auditions all over the country for talent to come on Ted Mack, and they were in Detroit. And I heard about it, and I went down and auditioned, and they accepted me. And so they flew me and my mother, because I was 16, first class. The first time I ever flew first class to New York. And I think we stayed at a Sheraton hotel, one of those, big hotels.
Yeah.
And I was on the show. I participated, and I came in second.
Wow.
I lost out to this guy who was an Italian tenor who was going up for his third win. So he had a lot of backup going,
Yes.
So anyway, but what coming in second was not bad at all. As a result of that, a week later, I get my Jet magazine, and they wrote an article on me, and I was shocked.
Wow.
I said, Jet magazine was like being in People magazine today,
Yes.
and it was a black magazine,
Yes.
but
Oh,
everybody, Jet it came out weekly, and then Ebony came out monthly. So they had an article on me about being on Ted Mack and coming in second. It was almost like I had won first place.
wow.
So that started everything. So then at 16, so then when I turned 17, I got a chance to audition for Pearl Bailey. She had a review that was touring the country, and she was in Detroit, and the word got out that one of her background singers had left the tour, and she was looking for a female, let's say alto, mezzo singer, and how it happened was we had a family friend who was an attorney who lived on our block. His name was Alan Early Jr., and he happened to be at a cocktail party where he met Pearl Bailey's road manager, a guy by the name of Bob Bailey. And so he was talking about me so highly and bragging that Bob Bailey said, well, why don't you ever come to the theater and audition for that role, that part? And so he said, well, she's just 17. I think I just turned 17, by the way. And so I went down and auditioned, and I was the only amateur, so to speak. Everybody else, they were professional singers. And I was chosen. I was hired. And
Wow.
2 days later, I was on the bus and on the road with Pearl Bailey.
Wow. Did you think that could happen today? A story like that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, very easy. Because, it's sort of like, I'll put it this way. It could be Usher, or it could be, I was hired as a background singer now, not a lead singer at the time. And that's how, I was just getting out. I was just getting my feet wet. The same year, like a couple of months later, our same neighbor, Alan Early Jr., he was at another cocktail party where he met Duke Ellington's son, Mercer Ellington. And when I keep saying cocktail party, well, Alan did drink a lot, I'll tell you. And he met Mercer Ellington, who was Duke Ellington's son.
Wow.
And he was bragging on me and talking about what a great singer I was. And so Mercer said, I'd love to hear her sing. So he was invited, along with Alan, of course, he was our neighbor, to our house, to my house. And I sang for him in our living room. And he said, you know what? You're pretty good. He says, I want my dad to hear you. So I said, so it was like, and so Duke said, wait, hold on. So Duke Ellington and his band, they were staying at the Gotham Hotel, which was a Black-owned hotel in Detroit. Okay, we're talking about 1961, all right? And my mother drove me down there, and I was taken up to Duke's suite, and he didn't want my mother. He said, just you in the room. It was like a suite, but he had a piano. There was a piano. Matter of fact, I think it was I don't know if it was a baby grand or if it was a spinet, but it was a piano. And he played. He said, well, let me hear you sing. And I think I did Mood Indigo, or I Got It Bad and That Ain't Good. And then he turned around and looked at me. He said, you remind me of Lena Horne. So
Oh,
I'm thinking that what he meant was because of my looks,
yes.
or something. Like I don't think I was as pretty as Lena back then.
Oh, I think you were.
Okay, Rocky. That's my dog, Rocky. He's in the pen right now. I hear he's like knocking his little food bowl over.
Oh, you can get him if he needs
My
attention.
Rocky. Okay, wait,
Yeah,
maybe if he starts barking, then I'll bring
of
him in.
course.
Oh boy. So anyway, I auditioned. I sang for Duke Ellington, and then he said, Freda, you know what? I want to hear you sing with the band. He says, I really like your voice. He says, the only problem is that we're leaving in the morning to go to Pittsburgh because we're performing at the Holiday House. That was, it was like a hotel motel, but they had a big, like a dining room. They had like a show, like a lounge,
I'm from Pittsburgh. I've been there.
Oh, you remember the Holiday House?
Yes, I've actually seen the Spinners at the Holiday House.
Well, guess what? Years later, I headlined at the Holiday House. We're talking like it had to be like around 72 or 73.
Yes, I was there in, I think, 74 or 76.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God.
saw
Well,
people
I
there.
did. I had it engaged. I performed there as a headliner after Band of Gold, and Bring the Folks.
Wow.
So anyway, my mother and a guy by the name of Mac Ferguson. Mac Ferguson, he was the guy that was my pianist. And when I did little local gigs around Detroit, he was the pianist and he was one of my mentors. When people say, who were your mentors? I said, he was my first real mentor, Mac Ferguson. And anyway, Mac went along, my mother and we drove to Pittsburgh and we checked in at the Holiday House. And that evening, Duke Ellington introduced me, brought me up on stage, and I sang with the band.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Holiday.
think it was two songs. I think it was a couple of songs. And then after that, when we drove back to Detroit, he mailed a contract. He wanted me to sign a 10-year contract to be his band singer. 10 years.
Wow.
Now, what happened because of our neighbor, Alan Early Jr., being the attorney, he was really a criminal attorney and a very prominent, highly thought of criminal attorney in Detroit. And he read the contract. My mother read the contract. I think I did, but I didn't know anything about contracts at that point. But they pointed out some things that should be modified or eliminated or changed. Like it shouldn't be 10 years because that exceeds my 21st birthday. And I need to have a guardian and blah, blah, blah. And so after a while, I guess Duke Ellington figured it was getting to be too complicated, to have this young girl, on the road and with all these things, these questions being asked. And it just never materialized. So I never got to like go on the road with the Duke Ellington Orchestra, but I did sing with the band. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, there in Pittsburgh, and then from there they went to their next gig was in Las Vegas at the Riviera Hotel, and then he invited us, my mother and I, to come to Vegas, and we did, and that's where that was the last time I think I got a chance to sing with the band.
Wow.
Mhm.
You've said a similar thing about Berry Gordy, that he wanted to sign you, but your mother was not willing to live by the conditions that he was going to ask
Yeah,
you to
my
sign.
mother was not willing to go along with what he wanted in the contract because my mother was just a very smart woman. She was very smart. She was educated. She went to the High School of Commerce, which is a business school. And she just, she was just using her common sense. Now, some people think, well, oh, she should have just let you go, and it was almost like maybe she just didn't feel it was just right for me. And that's what happened there. But and he admits it. I was shocked and surprised that he once admitted in front of witnesses that I was his first female protege. I was the very first one.
Wow, that's
I
really
would never say that. I would never say, but he said it. He says it to this day. So
well, if
that
he
was
said it, it must be true. And he had many proteges after that. So,
Oh
wow.
yeah, he had Mary Wells.
Yeah.
She was there. She was immediately after me, and like almost like that was it. It was like I didn't go along with him, so Mary Wells, that was it. And then there was Martha Reeves, okay,
Yeah.
and
Mandela's.
then of course, and then came along Miss Diana Ross with a group called, let's see, they changed the name, but they were there a while before they ever got a hit, with the company at Motown, and then I guess he finally saw he had a shining star in Diana Ross, because of that she had that commercial voice. She had a very commercial voice, and she had a style. She had a style about her, and she had that what I call the touch of class. That a little touch of class that you could see she kind of knew how to move and how to be very suave, that kind of thing, at an early young age. And I know, because I remember when I first started seeing them on Ed Sullivan, I saw, with her little short haircut and those big eyes,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, and her brown skin. I said, well, this girl she's got it, she's got it. Mhm.
Did you find that your producers and people you were working with were trying to mold you and others like you, or did they let you be yourself?
No, they tried to mold me. Are you talking about Holland Dozier and Holland?
And I'm talking more vague than that. I don't want to point any fingers, but it's been said that sometimes coming out of Detroit and coming out of New York, the young singers were somewhat molded versus just coming out as natural the way they would have looked and sang. And it was very almost, you had to fit sort of into a mold. And I don't know if that's true or not, but you would know.
Well, I would say that's true with the Motown artist. I would say that. Now, when I went with Invictus, prior to that, I was singing more like I would normally, the way I wanted to sing. I did my first album, jazz album, in 1963 with, I was on ABC Paramount, and it was a jazz label called Impulse. Impulse was ABC Paramount's jazz label. And they had artists like, well, Duke Ellington was on that label, John Coltrane, people like that, so this was like being on Blue Note, or Verve. And I did that first album there. And then after that, and then I did another album in 1966 in New York on MGM. And that was, the one I did on Impulse was called After the Lights Go Down Low and Much More. And then the other one that I did on MGM was called How Do You Say I Don't Love You Anymore? And matter of fact, the late and the great iconic legendary Godfather, Clarence Avant, was my manager at the time, and he's the one that got me the MGM deal.
Wow, you had some great mentors.
Oh God, yeah. Oh yes, I
Yeah.
have. Yes,
But
I
I
have.
think that's one of the things we admire so much about you is that you were yourself and you made it as yourself. You made it
Right.
as Freda Payne in
Yeah, I did.
various
And
venues.
then when I signed with Invictus in 1969, and we recorded several songs that became my first album, the Band of Gold album, uh, I made up my mind. I said, I'm not going to sing like I want to sing. I'm going to follow direction and sing the way they want me to sing. That's what I did. And so, like when you say a mold, that definitely applied to the Invictus experience.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, after you made it big like that, you really were on the talk show circuit for a long time. How were
Yeah.
you treated there, would you say? Because those talk show hosts were, at the time, they were gods in their own right, when you get
Oh yeah.
on to those
Oh yeah. Like Johnny Carson, Dick
Carson and Merv
Cavett, David
Griffin,
Frost.
David Frost.
Yeah, I used to do the David Frost show a lot. He also had a radio show. And Arthur Godfrey. Do you remember Arthur Godfrey?
I'm actually named after a woman on the Arthur Godfrey show.
Get
There
out
was
of
a
here.
there was a model on his show called Jeryl, and that's how I got my name.
Well, I used to be on his show because when he had a radio show in New York, and I would get called, I would get booked to do the radio show, and I would go and get on the show, come on the show, and he talked to me, and it was not, I did his show often. And then I did, of course, Johnny Carson I did Johnny Carson before I even had a hit, before I had Band to Go. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. Matter of fact, I did it probably more time. Oh, Merv Griffin. Oh God, they loved me. I did the Merv Griffin show a lot. I remember being on Merv Griffin once, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was on the show, and I think he had just become Mr. Universe, and he looked like Neanderthal man. I said, "Look at this guy." He had a mean look on his. We were in the green room, and I was sitting right across from him, like just feet away, and he never, he like.
Oh, he had a reputation to uphold, that's for sure. So I do want to speak a little bit about Ella Fitzgerald because that's the show that you're bringing to the Bay Area.
Right.
What motivated you to choose her as the person you were going to continue to sing like? Because your voice, I mean, you could just sing as Freda Payne, but you also can do Ella Fitzgerald scat and all of the things. Why did you choose to do that?
First of all, I started becoming a fan of hers when I was 12, listening to the radio. I heard her on the radio, and I said, God, I like that lady's voice, Ella Fitzgerald. And that was Ella Fitzgerald. And I would like, God, I like her voice. I like the purity of her voice. I mean, she enunciates her lyrics where you understand what she's saying, and she's not like yelling or shouting, or you know what I mean, like some
Oh,
singers.
yeah. Yeah. It's smooth.
Yeah, it's very smooth and very precise, and she just doesn't hit a bad note. So I anyway, as I got a little older, I of course I started, not trying to sing like her. I was just trying to sing like myself. And I had other singers that I admired. It was Gloria Lynn, there was Sarah Vaughan, Carmen McRae, Chris Connor, Julie Julie London. There were quite a few singers that I admired. And so I decided, like, Ella Ella died. I got to meet her in New York. I was with a friend who invited me to her show, lady by the name of Faye Treadwell. Faye Treadwell, she managed she and her husband managed the Drifters, and of course I think Dinah Washington and people like that, and they also used to book me as well. And so she said, Ella's performing here in New York. And at the time, there was a club located like downstairs of the Empire State Building. And it was called the Riverboat, I believe, the Riverboat. And she says, Ella's performing there. Want to go? And I said, I would love to go. I said, she's my idol, you know? And so I went. And after the show was over, she said, come on, we're going back in the dressing room. Say hi. And because she knew Ella, by the way, it was like they were acquaintances. We went back to the dressing room, and I walked in, and then she and Ella started talking, and I went and sat down, and then all of a sudden I looked at my arm, and the hair on my arm was
Oh,
standing up,
oh my.
and I was like in awe. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting here looking at Ella Fitzgerald in her dressing room.
Wow. And now you're
So
singing tribute to her. Wow.
right. So that was like what's like probably 1969 or something like that, or 70. So speed up 1996, she passed away. I think it was the month of June, I believe. And I remember having breakfast with a friend of mine who's a publicist, and we were having breakfast at this hotel, and when he walked into the dining room, he said, look, and it was a newspaper, and it had the whole
Oh,
front page of the LA Times in memoriam to Ella Fitzgerald, who had just passed away.
wow.
And when I saw that, at first my heart sank, but we knew that at that time she was very ill. She was a diabetic. Both legs had been amputated, so it was the word around was that we knew she was on the way out. And all of a sudden I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to portray Ella on stage. I'm going to do tributes to Ella. That's what I said. It was like a prophecy. I said, I'm going to play Ellen. Now that she's gone, I'm going to pick up the mantle and I'm going to play Ella. And so it wasn't until 2004. In the meantime, I did do a few Ella tributes back east, back east. And then in 2004, I get a call from Maurice Hines. And Maurice said, Freda, there's a theater, a regional theater in New Brunswick, New Jersey. It's called Crossroads. And he said, they are producing the Ella story, and it's called Ella Fitzgerald, First Lady of Song. And the book is by Lee Summers. And I'm calling you because you're my first choice. And what had happened, I had toured with Maurice Hines like about, several years prior to that, several years prior. And we used to sometimes it was a Jelly's Last Jam. And we were on tour almost a whole year doing Jelly's Last Jam. And so Maurice, I remember like sometimes we'd have a dressing room like very close, like side by side sometimes. And I would be vocalizing. And sometimes I'd be singing a jazz tune. And one day I came out of my dressing room and Maurice said, Freda, I heard you singing jazz. He says, did anybody ever tell you you sound just like Ella? I said, yeah, I've been hearing that since I was 17. And so he said, my brother and I, Gregory, we used to open for Ella at the Flamingo in Las Vegas. And he said, and I used to hang out with her in her dressing room between shows because she didn't want to go out or do anything between shows. And so he said, he went back to that, and he said, would you like to play the role of Ella Fitzgerald? I mean, on the legitimate stage, I would have to wear padded clothes, padded underwear, padded clothes. I would have to wear the wigs, little short, short wigs. And there'd be other actors. There'd be an actor will play the role of Norman Granz, her manager. Another actress will play the role of Georgiana, her first cousin. And then there'll be another actress who'll be playing the role of Frances, her half sister. And then, of course, it would be like a 7-piece, 8-piece band. And somebody will be playing the role of Chick Webb on the drums. Whoever the drummer is, he's going to be Chick Webb. And of course, Ray Brown, the guy that she wound up marrying. And yeah, so I did Ella Fitzgerald, First Lady of Song in 2004 Crossroads, and I did it again at Metro Stage in Alexandria, Virginia. Then I did it again in Wilmington, Delaware at the Delaware Theater. And then I did it again at the Malloy Theater in Rockville Center, New York. That's Long Island. And I just did it again in 2022. And that was, oh my God, I just did it in 2022. Oh, and I just mentioned Rockville Center. Yeah, I just mentioned Rockville Center. But then I'm booked to do it again. It's coming up soon. I'm going to be in Rochester, Michigan, and I'm going to be at the Meadowbrook Theater in Rochester, Michigan. You might as well say it's Detroit because Rochester is like a suburb of Detroit.
Yes.
And I'm going to be doing it at the Meadowbrook Theater in Rochester, Michigan. And we start rehearsal May 7th. And I think the opening night will be, I think it's either the 29th of May or something like that. And it's going to run for like 4 weeks. And then we close on the 23rd of June. So I'll be doing it again.
That sounds fantastic. What you're doing at the Marin Center in San Rafael is just going to be you, right?
It's
Doing the
going to
tribute.
be Frida, but I'll be
Good.
singing Ella's like Ella-ish songs,
Okay, that's
songs that she's covered, that she's done, that she's performed, and
wow.
talking about her, you
She was
know.
amazing. But I have to ask you this because we listen to older singers get, a little bit less than perfect pitch. What do you do to keep your voice so youthful?
You need to vocalize now. You need to sing. If dancers, when they're not dancing, they go to they go to classes or to the gym just to stay in shape and just exercise. I know all the dancers I've known in my life, when they're not working, they go to class. They go to class.
So you don't have any special formula or routine that you use to keep your voice able to sing the way you can sing.
Well, I can vocalize. I've had vocal coaches and stuff. Like my own niece, her name is Shoshana Payne Phillips, and she's a vocal coach. And I go and bone up with her. I mean, she's a wonderful vocal coach, and
Wow.
she says, "Auntie, come on in, and we'll give you a class. We'll have a class."
Well, it's amazing. I just have a couple questions, if you don't mind, that I think our fans would be interested in. What inspired you to join We Are the World for the Haiti relief?
Whoa! I heard it was coming up, and I knew that the original one was produced, was done with Quincy Jones. I think
Right.
he produced it, and all the really big superstars were in it, participated in it. And so when I heard that it was upcoming. I said, I want to be on that. And being that I had a relationship and a friendship with Quincy Jones, I called my friend Clarence Avant and expressed to him my desire to be on it. And he called Quincy, and then Quincy called me back, and they set me up, they booked me for it. So that's how I got in, because it's who you know, kid.
For most things, isn't that the truth?
Oh, and I was standing on when I did it. I was standing right next, shoulder to shoulder, with Barbara Streisand on my right and Julianne Hough on my left.
Wow. Yeah, it was quite a lineup. I remember.
Yeah,
I'd like to also mention your book, Band of Gold, a memoir.
yeah.
Um, what do you think would most be of interest to our readers in that book?
Oh, everything. I mean, they anybody that's ever read it, there's parts of it that uh they'll point out to me that they were like intrigued by or whatever. But it's my life, you know.
Yes, and it
Of
is
course,
intriguing.
from A to Z, of course, I didn't tell everything, you know. You got to leave something for the second book.
Yeah, is there a sequel coming out, right?
Oh yeah, there's got to be, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff, that I can, change it around, and it can be more of an inspirational book, maybe a book to help women or to inspire women, and show people that to hang in there, don't never give up, you can make it, this is my story. You don't have to be a goody two shoes all the time. Sometimes you have to be a little bad, but
Do you ever plan to retire and just enjoy your fame, or are you going to continue to work? What's next?
well, I would like to perform now and then. I eventually, at my age, I'm like already past 80. I'm 81. And honey, let's say if I had someone to take care of me. But if you want to remain independent, and I'm like that, and you want to, of course, there's a time when I'm starting to feel I'm slowing down a little bit, and your body, let's say, that old saying from the commercial, you can't fool mother nature.
Yes, I
Mother,
know.
honey, that's why I got a wig on because my hair is like yours.
Mother
But
Nature took over.
right, but I'm talking about how your body will age, how your knee problems come, start coming around. It started with my knees, and now I had my left knee. I have a left knee replacement, and then I've had a shoulder replacement, two shoulders replaced. So, honey, I have, sometimes I will definitely, maybe I will want to very badly retire. But when I'm on that stage, I'm happy. When I'm on the stage, I feel energetic. I feel good, because I'm doing the Ella material, doing Ella, I'm doing what I love.
And your
I'm
audience
not
loves
doing
it.
a rock show or anything like that where it's like, okay, this is a little much now. But when I'm doing the jazz material, this is what I love. So when
And
you're
so,
doing what you love, it's not work anymore. It's a pleasure.
wow. Wow. Well, those are words to live by. I wish everybody could do what they love. It would be nice if everybody could do what they love.
Right. It would be nice, yeah.
Yes. Well, I just have one final question because you are still performing for live audiences and television audiences. I know you're on American Idol.
Yeah.
Um, how would you compare audiences today in 2023 and 4 to the audiences in 1960s and 70s?
Whoa. Um, well, audiences are audiences. You just they're I think they're about the same. Do you mean their reactions or
Yes, their reactions and how you feel the rapport between the audience and you. But I feel like maybe you create the rapport, so maybe you don't
you
notice any.
do, you do, you do. You got to have a certain uh style, and I've seen some singers that come out and they don't know how to dress, or they don't have any flavor. I mean, you got to have a little bit of something going on, like a some kind of a aura or charisma, and um, and then again, pick the certain material. Got to pick the right material, and yet, like they say, keep the customer satisfied. You got to keep your audience satisfied. So pick material to satisfy your audience and satisfy yourself. There's some songs I pick to sing where I'm I'm picking a song that I enjoy singing. I it may not be the favorite of some people in the audience or everybody in the audience, but it might be my favorite. But then I'll turn around and I'll do something that I know that they're gonna like. And of course, at the end of the show, I do my big encore is Band of Gold, and they all love Band of Gold. It's like
They
they come
sing
alive.
along.
You all everybody all of a sudden the cell phones come out, the cameras.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it becomes like I know every word to it, and I'm sure most of the people in the audience do.
They do, and that's the fun. That's the fun part.
Well, I don't want to keep you forever. I know that you are much in demand, but I really appreciate that you have given our viewers a little taste of Freda Payne. And we will see you in San Marin County
Yeah, on
in
February
February.
the 16th.
Yes. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for your
Oh, thank
time,
you,
letting
Jeryl.
me. And now you can get back to Rocky because I think he needs you too.
Oh yeah, he's been knocking over his food and his water bowl.
Well, he
Yeah.
can't tell you. I think that's so adorable because that's his way of communicating.
Wait, you want me to take him out so you can see him before
I
we go?
would love that. I
Okay,
would
hold
love
on.
that. I love dogs.
Rocky. Rocky, come here. Come, Rocky. Come here,
Rocky, you're going
Rocky.
to be part of a video here. You have to perform.
Come here, Rocky. Come here. Come here, Rocky.
Oh, he's not. I don't know. He must be mad at me or something.
Oh, now,
my gosh.
come here, Rocky.
Rocky, you got to give your audience what they need
wanna
here.
You want a treat? Rocky, here's a treat. Here, Rocky, here's a treat. Here's a treat, Rocky. I'm gonna give that baby a
What
treat.
kind of dog is he, Frida?
He's Shih Tzu, Maltese, and no. He's Shih Tzu, Lhasa Apso, and Poodle.
Oh, he must be so adorable. Oh my
He
goodness.
is. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. You want to sit on mommy's lap? See?
Oh my goodness. Oh, you know what? He's going to steal your show here. I'm sorry, but he's the cutest thing.
Oh, he's a little devil.
Rocky.
He's a little devil. He's a puppy.
Oh my gosh, is he adorable? Does he already rule the roost?
Oh God,
Yeah.
honey, he poops and he pee-pee. He pee-pees on the pad and he poops on the rug.
You just tell her that's what you're allowed to do because
Okay, Rocky, I'm gonna give you away. I'm gonna give you away.
I don't think so. I would take you, Rocky, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Frida, I'm sorry, but after this whole interview, I think that's going to steal the show. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Rocky, you are the star.
Yes.
Have a good day, and we will see you in
Okay, you too.
February.
Okay,
Thank
bye
you
bye.
so much. Bye.
Bye bye.